My name is Frida Warkentin. I'm 23. 2 weeks ago, my parents threw an $18,500 MBA celebration for my sister at the Boston Harbor Hotel. 86 guests, open bar, harbor view. Someone asked my father, "What about Frida's nursing graduation?" He laughed, 3 drinks in, looked straight at me across the table and said, "No one celebrates people who empty bedpans." 86 people heard it. My mother said nothing. My sister said nothing. I just smiled, finished my drink, and walked out. 2 weeks later, I stepped on stage as valedictorian in front of 214 graduates. And what I said made the entire room go dead silent. 10 seconds after I finished, someone dialed my father. They didn't know the former Surgeon General was recording. They didn't know his biggest $152 million client was sitting in row 3. And they had no idea I'd been planning this moment for 4 years. If you've ever been publicly humiliated by your own family for choosing a lesser path, type bedpan right now. Before I continue, please take a moment to like and subscribe, but only if this story already hits you in the chest. And let me know in the comments, where are you watching from right now, and what time is it there? Let me take you back, because this story doesn't start at that party. It starts 4 years earlier in our family dining room in Boston, when I told my parents I wanted to become a nurse. September 2021. I was 19 years old, first day of nursing school at Boston College. I walked into anatomy and physiology with 17 other students, all of us wearing brand new scrubs that still had the tags crease across the chest. The professor, Dr. Chen, 60-something former ER nurse turned educator, stood at the front and said something I'll never forget. Nursing is not a stepping stone, it's a foundation. If you're here to build a resume for med school or healthcare management, you're in the wrong room. I wasn't in the wrong room. I came home that evening at 6:30. My family was already at dinner. My mother, Judith, 49 years old at the time, VP of operations at my father's medical device company, looked up from her salmon. "How was the first day, sweetheart?" I was smiling, genuinely excited. It was amazing. We learned about patient-centered care, the nursing process, holistic health assessment. My father didn't look up from his phone. "That's great, honey." He turned to my sister. "Vanessa, how's the Wharton application coming?" And that was it. The conversation shifted. For the next 20 minutes, we discussed Vanessa's MBA plans, GMAT scores, recommendation letters, which consulting firms recruit from Wharton. My mother had opinions about everything. My father beamed. I sat there, fork in hand, and realized they'd already moved on. That was the first time I felt it. The difference. The weight of their attention on Vanessa versus the glance they spared for me. But I told myself it was nothing, just a busy night. They'd ask me more later. They didn't. October came. I mentioned I'd been assigned a clinical rotation at Boston Medical Center, the same hospital where my mother had worked as an ICU nurse for 15 years, from 1995 to 2010. I thought she'd be excited. Full circle, right? She smiled. "Oh, that's wonderful. I have so many memories from that place." Pause. "You know, Frida, nursing is a great foundation. You can use it to transition into healthcare administration later, or pharmaceutical sales, healthcare consulting. The clinical experience opens doors." I looked at her. "What if I just want to be a nurse? Like you were?" She set down her wine glass, uncomfortable. "That was different, sweetheart. I didn't have the options you have. Your father and I can support you through graduate school. A healthcare MBA, public health degree, hospital administration. You should keep your options open. Keep your options open." I would hear that phrase 47 times over the next 4 years. From my mother, from my father, from Vanessa. who meant well, but didn't understand. Never once did they say, "That's wonderful." Never. "I'm proud of you." Always. But have you thought about? My mother had been a nurse, a damn good one from what I'd heard. She'd trained residents, run codes, saved lives in the ICU night shift after night shift. She met my father in 1994 when he was a second-year orthopedic surgery resident, and she was his OR nurse preceptor. She taught him how to scrub properly, how to respect the sterile field, how to work with nurses as equals. They married in 1996. She worked through his residency, his fellowship, his early years in private practice. She had Vanessa in 1998, me in 2002, and still worked nights, still ran codes, still came home smelling like hospital antiseptic and exhaustion. Then, in 2010, when I was 8 years old, my father's practice was growing rapidly. He asked her to take a step back, for the family, for his career. She quit the ICU in May 2010. For 9 years, she managed his practice, scheduling, billing, patient relations, not clinical work, administrative. She went from scrubs to business casual, from holding a dying patient's hand to holding a clipboard. In 2018, my father co-founded MedTech Innovations with another orthopedic surgeon. They manufactured surgical devices, titanium bone plates, joint replacement components, specialized instruments, started with $2.8 million in angel funding. By 2023, annual revenue hit $34 million. My mother became VP of Operations in 2019. Salary, $145,000 a year. She wore power suits now, heels, attended board meetings, went to country club lunches. When people asked what she did, she said, VP of Operations at a medical device company. She never mentioned she'd been a nurse. By 2024, she hadn't touched a patient in 14 years, hadn't started an IV, hadn't run a code, hadn't saved a life. And when I told her I wanted to do the work she'd left behind, she called it a stepping stone. Let me tell you what those 4 years looked like. Boston College Nursing School tuition, $62,000 a year. My parents paid it. But every semester, when the bill came through, my father would transfer the money, and my mother would text, "Tuition paid. Don't forget, this is an investment in your future. Keep your options open." Translation: we're paying so you can eventually do something better. I decided right then, I wouldn't owe them anything beyond tuition. I got 3 jobs. Job 1, hospital transporter at Boston Medical Center. Started October 2021, $16 an hour, 16 hours a week. Saturdays and Sundays, 6 in the morning until 2 in the afternoon. I moved patients in wheelchairs, transported lab specimens, delivered equipment. It wasn't glamorous, but it got my foot in the door at a real hospital, and I got to see what clinical work actually looked like. Job 2, tutoring pre-nursing students. Started January 2022. $25 an hour through the Campus Tutoring Board and Wyzunt. 8 hours a week. 4 students, 2 hours each. I tutored anatomy and physiology, biochemistry, pharmacology. It was flexible. It reinforced my own learning, and the money was good. Job 3, CNA at Sunrise Senior Living. Started June 2022 after I got my CNA certification in May. $18 an hour, 12-hour weekend shifts. I did direct patient care in assisted living, bathing, feeding, mobility assistance, vital signs. And yes, I emptied bedpans. I worked 36 hours a week, on top of 15 to 18 credit hours per semester, on top of 8 to 16 hours of clinical rotations. I was logging 59 to 70 hours a week between work, school, and clinicals. I slept 4 to 5 hours a night, sometimes less. I made about $700 a week, $2,800 a month. I paid my rent, $850 for a shared two-bedroom apartment. Groceries, textbooks ran about $800 a semester. Scrubs and equipment, my NCLEX prep course, car insurance, gas, phone, everything except tuition. My parents never knew the extent of it. They assumed I had a part-time job. Singular. I never corrected them. One night in the fall of 2023, my friend Jade, you'll hear more about her, looked at my Google Calendar and said, "3 jobs? Your parents are loaded. Why are you killing yourself?" I remember exactly what I said. Because when I walk across that graduation stage, I need to know I earned it. Not them. She didn't argue. She understood. Jade Kowalski, Polish-American, first-generation college student. 24 years old when we met. She'd started nursing school late after working 3 years as a medical assistant. Her dad was in construction. Her mom worked in a school cafeteria. Jade understood what it meant to work through school. She understood what it meant to have a family that didn't quite get it. We met orientation day, fall 2021. We bonded over being outsiders in a program full of students whose parents celebrated nursing, whose families showed up to every pinning ceremony and clinical completion event. Jade's family came to everything. White coat ceremony in October 2022. Pinning ceremony in December 2023. Clinical completion in April 2025. Every single event, her whole family showed up. Mom, dad, both brothers, her grandmother, her Aunt Kasia. Her grandmother, this tiny Polish immigrant woman, 78 years old, would hug me every time and call me Drugo Wnuczka, second granddaughter. My parents came to 0 out of 3 ceremonies. White coat ceremony. My father had surgery scheduled. My mother had an investor meeting. Pinning ceremony. It's not graduation. We'll see you at the real thing. Clinical completion. No response to my invitation. Jade's grandmother hugged me at the pinning ceremony and whispered in my ear, "Your parents are fools." I said, "I know, Babsha." She squeezed tighter. Fall 2023 through spring 2024, Jade and I did our clinical rotations together in the Boston Medical Center Emergency Department. We requested the same shifts, 8 hours, twice a week, 16 weeks per semester. We logged 156 hours together. We counted. We had a shared Google Doc called 156 Hours What We Did. Hour 47. Ran our first code together. The patient survived. Hour 89. Held the hand of a 19-year-old overdose patient. He didn't make it. Hour 134. I successfully placed an IV on my third attempt while the patient was actively coding. Small victory. Huge for me. Hour 156. Last shift. We hugged in the parking lot and cried. We saw 23 trauma cases, 47 cardiac events, 89 medical emergencies, 12 deaths. We learned that not everyone can be saved. We learned that sometimes the best you can do is make sure they're not alone. We learned what it meant to be nurses. February 14th, 2025. Valentine's Day. I was on a clinical rotation in the oncology unit at Boston Medical. Senior year, final semester. I was assigned to Mr. Gerald Hartman, 81 years old, stage 4 pancreatic cancer. He was admitted for pain management and end-of-life care. His wife had died in 2018. He had 3 children, all out of state: California, Texas, Florida. They'd been notified he was declining. They were trying to get flights. My shift was 11 to 3, 4 hours. I took his vitals, administered morphine per protocol, helped him eat 3 bites of soup before he couldn't manage more. I adjusted his pillow. I checked his IV site. He was drowsy, in pain, aware he was dying. At 2:47, my shift ended. My clinical instructor said, "Great work today, Frida. See you Monday." I looked at Mr. Hartman. I looked at the empty chair beside his bed. I asked, "Is his family coming today?" She checked the chart. "Youngest son has a flight tomorrow morning. Won't be here until tomorrow evening at the earliest." I said, "Can I stay?" She said, "You're off the clock. You don't have to." I said, "I know." I stayed until 7:18 p.m., 4 hours and 18 minutes past my shift. Not required. Not for credit. Not for a grade. I held his hand. He squeezed weakly. I read him news articles from the Boston Globe on my phone. He liked politics, I learned. We talked about the upcoming primaries. I played music from my Spotify. I asked his favorite artist, Frank Sinatra. I played My Way, New York, New York. Fly Me to the Moon. I asked about his life. He'd owned a bakery in the North End from 1968 to 2003. Best cannoli in Boston, according to him. I believed him. I called his son in Texas, held the phone to Mr. Hartman's ear so he could say goodbye. His son was crying. "I love you, Dad. I'm trying to get there." At 6:48 p.m., Mr. Hartman died. Peacefully. Morphine drip running. No pain. Sinatra playing. My hand in his. I stayed until 7:18. I helped the nurse clean his body. We did it with dignity. Then I called his children, all 3 of them. They cried. They thanked me. I said, he wasn't alone. Dr. Samuel Richardson, Dean of the Nursing School, former Army Chief Nurse, 35 years in the profession, happened to be doing his quarterly evening rounds at the clinical sites. He saw me leaving the oncology unit at 7:30, scrubs still on, eyes red. He asked the supervising nurse, "Is she okay?" The nurse said, "She stayed 4 hours past her shift. Patient died. She was with him the whole time." Dr. Richardson noted my name. The next day, he called me to his office. "I heard what you did yesterday," he said. "You stayed 4 hours past your clinical requirement. No credit. No pay. Why?" I said, "He was alone. His family couldn't get there in time. No one should die alone." Dr. Richardson studied me for a long moment. Then he said, "You know what separates good nurses from exceptional ones? Good nurses follow protocol. Exceptional nurses understand why protocol exists and know when humanity matters more." He paused. "I'm nominating you for the Johnson & Johnson Scholars Award." I said, "What's that?" He said, "National recognition, $25,000, one winner per year from thousands of nominees across the country. You represent what nursing should be." March 15th, 2025. Saturday, 2:34 in the afternoon. I was in the break room at Boston Medical, finishing my hospital transporter shift. My phone buzzed. Email. Sender. Johnson & Johnson Scholars Award Program. Subject. 2025 Award. Finalist notification. I almost deleted it. I get spam about scholarships constantly, but I saw Boston College Nursing in the CC line. I opened it. "Dear Ms. Workington, congratulations. You have been selected as one of 12 national finalists for the 2025 Johnson & Johnson Scholars Award for Nursing Excellence." I read it 4 times. 8,247 nominations nationwide, 12 finalists. One winner would be announced April 14th. Award, $25,000 scholarship. Feature in their national Future of Nursing campaign. Recognition at graduation. I walked to the supply closet, sat on the floor, cried for 11 minutes. Then I texted Jade. "Call me when you can. Important." She called immediately. "What happened? Are you okay?" "I'm a finalist for a national nursing award," I said. $25,000. One of 12 in the entire country. She screamed. People in the background at her campus building were probably staring. She didn't care. Then she said, "Did you tell your parents?" I paused. "Not yet. Are you going to?" Another pause. Maybe. I don't know. I didn't tell them that day. Or the next. Or the next. 4 days later, March 19th, I mentioned it casually at dinner. Oh, by the way, I'm a finalist for a National Nursing Award. Interview next week. My father looked up from his phone. That's great, honey, my mother said. Wonderful. What's it for? I said, Nursing excellence. She said, Well, that's lovely. Add it to your resume. The conversation moved to Vanessa's apartment hunt in New York. She'd just accepted a consulting job at Bain. 23 minutes on Vanessa's apartment, 2 minutes on my award. I remember thinking, this is who they are, and I'm done expecting anything different. April 14th, 2025. Monday morning, 11:47. I was sitting in pharmacology lecture last semester of senior year. My phone vibrated on silent. Email from Johnson & Johnson. Subject: Winner notification, confidential. My heart stopped. I opened it under my desk. Dear Frida, congratulations. You have been selected as the 2025 Johnson & Johnson Scholars Award for Nursing Excellence recipient. You are the winner. 1 out of 8,247. The one. $25,000 scholarship. National campaign. Presentation at graduation. Press release going out the next day. I couldn't focus for the rest of the lecture. When it ended at 12:30, I walked outside and called Jade. Did you win? She said immediately. I won. She screamed again. She ran across campus to find me. When she got there 8 minutes later, we hugged for 4 minutes straight, both of us crying. Then she said, You're calling your parents now, right? I said, Yeah, I have to. I called my mother at 1:15. She answered, Hi, honey, what's up? I'm about to go into a meeting. I said, I won the Johnson & Johnson Award, the national one. I'm the winner. $25,000. She said, Oh, that's wonderful, sweetheart. Congratulations. Pause. Rustling papers in the background. Listen, I'm actually late for a board meeting. Can I call you back in an hour? I want to hear all about it. I said, Sure. She never called back. That evening, I posted in the family group text. Just me, Vanessa, Mom, and Dad. 6:30 p.m. Won the J&J National Nursing Award today. $25,000 scholarship plus national campaign. Mom, 6:42 p.m. Congratulations. Vanessa, 7:18 p.m. Dad, no response. That same evening, in the same group chat, Vanessa posted about accepting her offer from Bain. $195,000 base salary plus a $40,000 signing bonus. Mom, 7:25 p.m. So proud. Our MBA grad, you've earned this. Dad, 7:26 p.m. That's my girl. Wharton to Bain, you're unstoppable. Dinner this weekend to celebrate? My treat. Number 9 Park? Vanessa. Yes. Saturday, 7 p.m. Mom. I'll make reservations. Maybe invite Uncle Phil and Aunt Sarah too. 14 more messages planning the celebration. My award, 2 responses. Vanessa's job, 18 responses, plus dinner plans. I read the thread. I smiled. I turned off my phone. I went to my CNA shift at the senior living facility that night. I emptied 6 bedpans. On purpose. I could have asked the other CNA to help. I didn't, because someone had to do it. And no one celebrates people who empty bedpans, except the patients who need them emptied. April 18th. I received a formal invitation in the mail. Ivory cardstock, embossed gold lettering. You are cordially invited to celebrate Vanessa Workington, MBA, Wharton School of Business. Saturday, May 11th, 2025, 7 p.m., Boston Harbor Hotel, Harbor View Ballroom, cocktail attire. Inside was a handwritten note from my mother. Frida, can't wait to celebrate Vanessa. Bring a guest if you'd like. Love, Mom. I looked at my calendar. Vanessa's party, May 11th. My graduation, May 17th. 1 week apart. I texted Jade. Vanessa's MBA party is May 11th. My graduation is May 17th. You free May 11th? She said. Why? I said. I need a witness. A witness to what? I paused, thought about how to say it. Whatever happens, I need someone there who sees it all. Will you come with me? There was a long pause. Then, yes? What are you planning? I said, nothing, but I have a feeling I'll need you there. She said, I'm there. RSVPD, Frida Workington plus guest. Yes, attending. May 11th, 2025, Saturday evening, 6:45 p.m. Jade and I took an Uber from my apartment to the Boston Harbor Hotel, both of us in cocktail attire. Me in the navy dress my mother had picked out months ago, Jade in black. We walked into the Harbor View Ballroom at 6:45, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the harbor, sunset painting the water orange and gold. 15 round tables, 6 guests each, white roses for centerpieces. Personalized menu cards at every place setting, embossed with Vanessa Workington, MBA. 86 guests. I recognized most of them. My father's business partners from MedTech. My mother's book club. 7 wealthy Brookline women who lunched. Vanessa's Wharton classmates who'd flown in from various cities. My father's surgical colleagues from Mass General. Extended family. Uncle Phil. Aunt Sarah. Cousins I saw once a year at Christmas. Jade whispered, "This is insane. 86 people?" I said, "Wait until you see the rest." 7 o'clock. Cocktail hour began. Open bar, top shelf, past hors d'oeuvres, a jazz trio set up in the corner. I introduced Jade to a few family members. Polite smiles, small talk. "This is Jade, my friend from nursing school." "Oh, nursing! How nice! What are you planning to do after graduation?" The question. Always the question. Jade, bless her, handled it better than I ever did. "Be a nurse." Awkward pause. "Oh, well, that's important work." At 7:45, we sat down for dinner. Jade and I were at table 8. Not the head table where Vanessa sat with my parents and her closest friends. Table 8. With 3 of my mother's book club friends who barely knew me, and one of my father's business partners named Gary, who asked polite questions but was clearly just being nice. Dinner was served by legal seafoods. First course, lobster bisque. Second course, choice of filet mignon or seared scallops. Third course, chocolate torte, wine pairings. Everything perfect. Everything expensive. At 8:30, my father stood at the head table. Someone handed him a microphone. 14 minutes. I timed it. He started with a joke about Vanessa as a toddler refusing to share her toys. The room laughed. Then he transitioned to talking about empire builders and the next generation of healthcare leaders. He said, "Vanessa isn't just getting an MBA. She's getting the tools to revolutionize how hospitals are managed. She represents the future of healthcare innovation, the business side, the strategy, the vision that will transform our entire industry." Applause. He looked at Vanessa, who was crying happy tears. "To my daughter Vanessa, I couldn't be more proud." He raised his glass. Everyone raised theirs. They clinked. Standing ovation. I clapped politely. No one at my table knew I was the sister. Dessert was served. Coffee, cordials, the jazz trio played. And then, at 9:47 p.m., everything changed. My father was at the bar. I could see him from where I sat, 35 feet away. He was ordering his third scotch. He'd had 2 during cocktail hour, wine during dinner. Now scotch. Dr. Patricia Brennan, a pediatrician, family friend since 2008, approached him at the bar. I couldn't hear them at first, but I saw her smile, saw her gesture toward the ballroom, saw my father laugh. Then I saw him look directly at me. Dr. Brennan's voice carried suddenly, maybe because she'd raised it slightly, maybe because the room had gotten quieter. Are you doing another party like this for Frida? The question. The room didn't go completely silent, but people at nearby tables stopped talking. Conversations paused. Heads turned slightly. My father looked across the room at me. Direct eye contact. He said, loud enough that I heard it clearly, loud enough that at least 4 tables heard it. No, we're not celebrating that. Dr. Brennan's smile faltered. Oh, why not? My father's voice got louder, drunk confidence. No one celebrates people who empty bedpans. Silence rippled outward. People at 3 tables heard it clearly. Others sensed something had happened, stopped talking, turned to listen. My father didn't stop. He gestured with his Scotch glass. Vanessa got an MBA from Wharton, top business school in the world. She's going to run companies. That deserves this. He waved at the ballroom, the roses, the jazz trio, everything. Frida's doing grunt work, bedside nursing. It's not the same level. Dr. Brennan said quietly, horrified, Doug, she's right there. My father looked at me again, shrugged. She knows. We've talked about this. She could transition to healthcare management eventually. But right now, it's not the same. 86 people in that ballroom. At least 40 of them heard him directly. The rest heard whispered repetitions spreading like wildfire. Did he just say bedpans? What did Doug say about Frida? I sat at table 8. I heard every word. I felt every eye. I looked down at my dessert plate. Chocolate torte, half eaten. I put my fork down carefully. Then I looked up. I smiled. Wide smile. The smile I'd practiced for years. The smile that says I'm fine when I'm not. I picked up my champagne glass. I'd been nursing it all night. Almost empty now. I drained it. I stood up. I said, clearly enough for my table to hear, "Excuse me, I need some air." I walked out, head high, heels clicking on marble, through the ballroom doors, through the hotel lobby, outside to the harbor dock, 9:53 p.m. I sat on a bench, looked at the water, the lights of the city reflecting on the harbor. I wasn't crying. I was doing something more dangerous. I was planning. 30 seconds later, Jade found me. She sat beside me, silent for a moment. Then, I heard everything. I said, I know. She said, 40 people heard. Probably more by now. I said, I know. She was angry. I could hear it in her voice. What the fuck is wrong with him? I stayed calm. He thinks Vanessa's MBA matters more than my nursing degree. He always has. He said bedpans. He said grunt work. In front of everyone. I looked at her. Jade, you heard it right? You can verify? If I ever need you to confirm what he said? Understanding dawned in her eyes. What are you planning? I said. My graduation is in 6 days. I'm giving the valedictorian speech. Holy shit. I haven't told them yet. I was selected 2 weeks ago. I'm going to stand on that stage in front of 214 graduates. And I'm going to tell the truth. All of it. Jade stared at me. I said, I need you to testify. If anyone asks. If he denies it. I need you to say, I was there. I heard him. He said, no one celebrates people who empty bedpans. Can you do that? She didn't hesitate. Yes. Every word. I'll tell anyone who asks exactly what I heard. We sat in silence for 3 minutes. Then she said, are you going back in? I said, no. Want me to stay with you? I shook my head. No, go back. Listen. Tell me if anyone defends me. She went back inside. She stayed until 11:30 when the party started winding down. She listened. She watched. No one defended me. My mother said nothing. Vanessa said nothing. Uncle Phil looked uncomfortable but stayed silent. Aunt Sarah whispered to my mother. That was harsh. My mother replied, he's had a lot to drink. That was it. 86 people. 0 defenses. Jade texted me at 11:47 p.m. No one defended you, I'm so sorry. I replied, good. Now I know exactly who they are. Comment nurse if you or someone you love is in healthcare and knows this pain. The next 6 days, May 12th through May 16th. The space between the party and my graduation. I didn't contact my parents. They didn't contact me. Sunday, May 12th. I woke up, checked my phone. No texts from my mother, no call from my father, no apology from anyone. I wasn't surprised. Monday, May 13th. I sat down and rewrote my valedictorian speech. The original draft, written May 10th, was generic, inspirational, safe. The future of nursing is bright. We are the next generation of caregivers. Standard graduation speech material. I deleted it. I wrote the truth. My parents threw an $18,500 party for my sister's MBA. At that party, my father said, I wrote for 4 hours. When I finished, I showed it to Jade. She read it. When she looked up, her eyes were red. This will end him, she said. I said, good. Tuesday, May 14th. The Boston Globe Education section ran a small feature. BC nursing student wins National J&J Award. It included my name, a photo, a quote from Dr. Richardson. At 10:42 a.m., my mother texted me. First contact since the party. Saw the Globe article, congrats again. No mention of the party, no apology, just that. I didn't respond. Wednesday, May 15th. Dr. Richardson called me. Frida, I have news about the commencement ceremony. We have a very special guest attending. Former Surgeon General Elizabeth Harlan. She was my mentor when I served as chief nurse in the Army. She's retired now, but she's agreed to be our commencement speaker. She specifically asked to attend because we have a Johnson & Johnson award winner this year. She wants to meet you after the ceremony. Former Surgeon General, attending my graduation, will hear my speech. I said, thank you for telling me. I hung up, sat on my apartment floor, processed. A Surgeon General, in the audience, while I told the truth about my father. Thursday, May 16th. I finalized my speech. 782 words. 3 minutes and 58 seconds when I timed it. I memorized every word. I practiced it 31 times. Jade listened to the final practice run. When I finished, she was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, this will change everything. I said, I know. That evening, I volunteered at the ceremony setup. I was helping arrange programs when I saw the VIP guest list on the coordinator's clipboard. My eyes caught one name, Dr. Thomas Reynolds, Chief Medical Officer, Massachusetts General Hospital. My heart stopped. Dr. Thomas Reynolds, the man who'd signed MedTech's $152 million contract in March. My father's biggest client, the deal my father said would take us public. He was going to be in the audience. I texted Jade. The CMO of Mass General is on the VIP list. He's my dad's biggest client. She replied, oh shit. Are you still doing this? I wrote back, especially now. I didn't sleep that night. Not from nerves. From clarity. I finally had the microphone. And they'd finally have to listen. May 17th, 2025. Saturday morning. I arrived at Boston College Alumni Stadium at 9:45. It was 71 degrees. Partly cloudy. Light breeze. The stadium was filling up. 215 graduates. I counted, I was number 215. In white scrubs and blue caps. Families streaming into the bleachers. faculty in academic regalia processing toward the stage. I looked for my parents. I knew they wouldn't be there, but I looked anyway. Section B, row 12, seats 7 and 8. Reserved. Empty. That morning, my father had texted me at 8:30. Have a good day, kiddo. My mother, 8:45. Proud of you, sweetie. Neither mentioned not coming. I stood there in my white scrubs, cap in hand, looking at those empty seats. Then I heard a voice. Frida! I turned. Row 15. Jade's family. All 6 of them, her parents, both brothers, her grandmother, her Aunt Cassia. Her grandmother was holding a poster. Handmade. Glitter letters. Frida Workentin RN. I walked over to them. Her grandmother hugged me so tight I could barely breathe. Your family? She said in her thick Polish accent. I shook my head. She hugged me tighter. We are your family now. The ceremony began at 10:03. Dean Richardson walked to the podium. Welcome to the 2025 Boston College Connell School of Nursing Commencement Ceremony. National Anthem. Opening remarks. I sat in the 3rd row with my classmates. From where I sat, I could see row 3 of the VIP section clearly. A woman in civilian clothes, late 60s, gray hair, strong posture. Former Surgeon General Elizabeth Harlan. Next to her, a man in a dark suit, Dr. Thomas Reynolds. They were talking quietly, looking at their programs. At 10:22, the Johnson & Johnson award presentation. Dean Richardson announced, before we confer degrees, we have a special recognition, the Johnson & Johnson Scholars Award for Nursing Excellence. From over 8,000 nominees nationwide, one student is selected each year. This year's recipient, from our own graduating class, Frida Workentin. Applause. I stood. My legs were shaking. No one could tell. I walked to the stage. The J&J vice president was there, a woman in her 50s. She handed me an oversized check, $25,000. A plaque. We shook hands. Cameras flashed. She whispered, "You're the future." I whispered back, "Thank you." I walked back to my seat. The applause continued for 28 seconds. From row 15, Jade's grandmother was screaming, "Yeah, Frida! Go, Frida!" I looked at row 3. General Harlan was clapping, smiling, nodding at me. Dr. Reynolds was writing something in his program. The degree conferral took 32 minutes, 215 names. Then, at 10:57, Dean Richardson returned to the podium. We now have our valedictorian addresses. Our first speaker needs no introduction. She's already made history today. Graduated summa cum laude, 680 clinical hours with distinction. Johnson & Johnson award recipient. Please welcome Frida Workentin. Applause. I stood. I walked to the podium. The microphone was adjusted to my height. I looked out at the crowd. 920 people approximately, 215 graduates, about 700 family members and guests, faculty, VIPs. The live stream camera had its red light on. Recording. Row 3. General Harlan, Dr. Reynolds. Watching. Section B. Row 12. Still empty. I took a breath. I began. My name is Frida Workentin. I'm 23 years old. 4 years ago, I told my family I wanted to be a nurse. Pause. The room was quiet. They smiled. They said, "That's nice." Then they quietly suggested I keep my options open. I could see some people shifting in their seats. My mother was an ICU nurse for 15 years. She saved lives. She trained doctors. She trained my father when he was a surgical resident in 1994. Some audience members nodded. Recognition. Then she became VP of operations for a medical device company, and she told me, nursing is a foundation. You can use it to transition into healthcare management later. Pause. I didn't want a foundation. I wanted to be a nurse. Scattered nods from the nursing faculty. I worked 3 jobs through nursing school: hospital transporter, tutor, CNA, 36 hours a week on top of classes and clinicals. I let that land. I spent 156 hours in emergency rotations. I held dying patients' hands. I ran codes. I cleaned blood and vomit, and yes, I emptied bedpans. My voice was steady, clinical. 2 weeks ago, my parents threw a party for my sister's MBA graduation. Wharton School of Business, Boston Harbor Hotel, 86 guests, open bar, live jazz, personalized menu cards, $18,500. Murmurs started. At that party, someone asked my father, "What about Frida's graduation? When is that?" The room was getting quieter now, tension building. My father, 3 drinks in, looked directly at me across the table and said, I paused. 3 seconds. No one celebrates people who empty bedpans. Audible gasps, whispers spreading like fire through dry grass. 86 people heard him say that. More gasps, people looking at each other, some hands covering mouths. My mother, a nurse for 15 years, said nothing. My sister said nothing. I paused again. I smiled, finished my drink, and left. General Harlan in row 3 was leaning forward now. Intense focus. Dr. Reynolds had stopped writing. He was staring at me. This morning, my parents are not in the audience. The whispers got louder. People looking around trying to spot empty seats. But this speech isn't about them. I let that sit for 2 seconds. It's about the 214 people sitting here who have been told that what we do doesn't matter. My voice rose slightly. Building power. Let me tell you what nurses do. We are the people who notice when a patient's breathing changes at 3 a.m. before the monitor's alarm. We are the people who catch medication errors before they become tragedies. We are the people who hold a dying man's hand for 4 hours after our shift ends because no one should die alone. Some graduates were crying now, some nodding hard. We are not stepping stones. We are the foundation. We are the safety net. We are the reason patients survive. Applause started. Jade's family first. Then it spread. 2 weeks ago, I received the Johnson & Johnson Scholars Award for Nursing Excellence, $25,000, selected from over 8,000 nominees nationwide. Louder applause. Last month, I was accepted into the elite ICU residency program at Massachusetts General Hospital. I start June 1st. Standing ovation beginning. The graduates first. All 214 of them on their feet. I'll be working in the same hospital where my father's company, MedTech Innovations, just signed a $152 million equipment contract. Dr. Reynolds in row 3 had a small smile now, knowing the surgical devices his company manufactures and sells will be in my hands. Pause. And the hands of every nurse in that ICU. Pause. Bedpan emptying hands. Pause. Healing hands. The entire stadium was on its feet now. 920 people. 40 seconds of continuous applause. I wasn't done. My voice cracked slightly now. First emotion. Controlled break. To the 214 graduates here with me. I looked at my classmates. Some were openly crying. Your worth is not measured by your salary, not by your job title, not by whether your family throws you a party. Your worth is measured by the lives you touch, the patients you save, the families you comfort, the codes you run at 3 a.m. when no one is watching. My voice got strong again. We are the future of American healthcare. 2-second pause. And we matter. Thunderous applause. 45 seconds in, General Elizabeth Harlan stood from row 3. She walked onto the stage. Dean Richardson looked surprised but didn't stop her. She walked straight to me, extended her hand. The microphone caught her whisper. This is the future of American healthcare. Thank you for your service. She shook my hand firmly. Then she saluted. A military salute. To me, cameras flashed everywhere, phones up. The Boston Globe photographer rapid-firing shots. General Harlan patted my shoulder, walked off the stage. The applause continued. 58 seconds total before Dean Richardson signaled to move on. I walked off stage. My legs were shaking, hidden. My face was composed. Backstage, Jade was waiting. She grabbed me. We both cried. You did it, she whispered. Holy shit, you did it. I checked my phone. Airplane mode off. 43 missed calls. I didn't need to look at who they were from. I already knew. I sat backstage for the rest of the ceremony. 2 more speakers. Closing remarks. At 11:47, the ceremony ended. Graduates threw caps. Families rushed the field. My phone kept buzzing. I opened it. 18 calls from my mother, 12 from my father, 9 from Vanessa, 4 from numbers I didn't recognize. I put it back in my pocket. Jade's family found me. Group hug. Her grandmother kissed both my cheeks. You are a warrior, she said. Dr. Richardson found me. That was extraordinary, he said quietly. That's what truth sounds like. General Harlan found me. We talked for 15 minutes. She gave me her card. If you ever need a reference, she said. For anything. I went home at 1:30 p.m. I turned my phone back on. 64 more missed calls. I didn't listen to any voicemails. I didn't read any texts. I blocked my father's number. I blocked my mother's number. I kept Vanessa's unblocked. Emergency contact only. Then I put my phone on Do Not Disturb and slept for 11 hours. While I was sleeping, the video was spreading. At 11:18 a.m., during the ceremony, the Boston Globe photographer had uploaded a photo. Former Surgeon General salutes nursing graduate in powerful ceremony moment. At 11:45, Boston College Nursing posted the speech video to YouTube, unlisted, for families. But the link got out. By 12:30 p.m., it was on Reddit, r/nursing. You need to watch this nursing grad's speech about family dismissing her career. 2,300 upvotes in the first hour. By 2:45 p.m., MedTwitter found it. Dr. Amanda Reeves, an ER physician with 127,000 followers, tweeted, "Every healthcare worker needs to watch this. This RN grad just said what we've all been feeling. Her father called nursing bedpan work at a party. Then the Surgeon General saluted her. Hashtag hands that heal." By 6 p.m., 156,000 views. By midnight, 340,000. The hashtag hands that heal was trending. While the video spread, my father got a phone call. 10:54 a.m. during the ceremony. While I was backstage, while graduates were still celebrating, he was in his home office in Brookline. He'd been watching the live stream on his laptop, planning to check in on the ceremony briefly. He saw the whole thing. His phone rang. Caller ID, Richard Hargrove, lead investor for the MedTech IPO. Rick had been watching too. A board member, Gerald Morrison, had texted him at 10:40. Turn on BC Nursing livestream. Douglas's daughter is speaking. You need to see this. My father answered. Rick, I can explain. Rick cut him off. Doug, I just watched your daughter's graduation speech. Rick, that was taken out of context. You told 86 people that nurses, the people who use your products, don't deserve celebration. You said no one celebrates people who empty bedpans. She misunderstood what I watched her quote you verbatim, Doug. The former Surgeon General just saluted her on camera. The CMO of Mass General, your biggest client, $152 million, was sitting in row 3. Silence. Rick continued. We're 6 weeks from IPO. $89 million valuation. We need to discuss governance and family values alignment before we take this public. My father tried again. This is a private family matter. It stopped being private when it was live streamed to 2,000 viewers. I'll call you Monday morning, 9 a.m. sharp. We need damage control strategy. He hung up. My father sat in his office for 11 minutes, hands shaking. Then he called my mother. She was at the country club, Sunday brunch with friends. We have a problem, he said. Sunday, May 18th. The video hit 520,000 views by morning. NBC Boston reached out for an interview. Nursing organizations nationwide were sharing it. American Nurses Association, National Student Nurses Association, state nursing boards. By 3 p.m., 650,000 views, 12,000 comments. Comments from nurses. My family didn't come to my graduation either. I've heard this exact dismissal. Thank you for saying what we've all felt. Comments from physicians. I was that dismissive doctor. I'm sorry. This speech changed how I see my colleagues. Comments from patients. Nurses saved my life. This young woman is a hero. By Monday, May 19th, 1.4 million views. It was trending on TikTok. Nurses were duetting it, reacting to it, sharing their own stories. Instagram nursing accounts with hundreds of thousands of followers were reposting clips. My LinkedIn got 840 connection requests in 2 days, all from healthcare professionals, 23 interview requests, NBC, local news, nursing podcasts, healthcare blogs. I ignored all of them. My mother called me Sunday at 4:15 p.m. I let it ring 6 times. Then I answered. She was crying and angry. Frida, why would you do that? You humiliated your father publicly. I stayed calm, cold. I told the truth. 86 people were at that party. You made it sound like we're monsters. He said, no one celebrates people who empty bedpans in front of 86 people, including me. I didn't make him sound like anything. I repeated his words. You don't understand the pressure he's under with the IPO. I worked 36 hours a week through nursing school on top of full-time classes and clinicals. I understand pressure. This is going to destroy the business. Then maybe the business has a problem. She hung up. Monday, May 18th, 2:30 p.m. Text from Vanessa. You didn't have to destroy Dad's reputation to make your point. I stared at it for 5 minutes. Then I typed, I made my point by telling the truth. If truth destroys reputation, the reputation was built on lies. She wrote back, the IPO is at risk. 7 years of work. I replied, he had 4 years to support me. He chose not to. She stopped responding. Tuesday, May 19th, 7:45 a.m. Email from my father. First direct contact. Subject, we need to talk. Frida, this has gotten completely out of hand. Your speech has created serious complications for the business. Rick is threatening to pull investor support. We need you to release a statement saying this was misunderstood, that you were emotional, that we're a loving family. I'll have our PR team draft something. This is urgent. Please call me. I read it 3 times. At 11:20, I replied. I said what I said because it's true. I won't retract truth. If your business is damaged by honesty, that's not my responsibility. At 6:30 p.m., he wrote back, you're being incredibly selfish. I didn't respond. By Tuesday evening, I had 156 missed calls total. 47 from my mother, 38 from my father, 12 from Vanessa, 59 from extended family members I barely knew. I put my phone on airplane mode. I kept it that way for 3 days. I used my laptop for necessary emails. Nursing school. Mass General HR for my ICU residency paperwork. Jade. But family? Silent. On Friday, May 22nd, I turn my phone back on. 91 new missed calls. I deleted all the voicemails without listening. I kept the blocks in place. And for the first time in 4 years, I could breathe. The next 10 months. Let me tell you where we all are now. It's March 2026. 10 months since graduation. I'm 23 years old. I'm an ICU nurse at Massachusetts General Hospital. Night shift. 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. 3 shifts a week. In the past 10 months, I've run 8 successful codes. All 8 patients survived and were eventually discharged. I'm mentoring 6 new ICU nurses, teaching them clinical skills, offering emotional support, being the kind of nurse I wish I'd had when I started. Last month, February 2026, I saved 2 lives in one shift: a septic shock patient at 11 p.m., a cardiac arrest at 4 a.m. Both walked out of that hospital. I took $10,000 of my Johnson & Johnson award money and created a scholarship, the Workington Nursing Scholarship at Boston College. $2,500 a year to a nursing student. Demonstrating commitment to bedside nursing despite family or societal pressure. The irony of the name is intentional. I'm taking it back. The first recipient will be awarded in May 2026. Jade is doing travel nursing in Phoenix. 13-week contract. We're planning to join Doctors Without Borders together in the fall. General Harlan wrote me a recommendation letter for Johns Hopkins MSN program. I was accepted. I deferred for a year to work ICU first. Dr. Richardson was promoted to Associate Dean. He uses my story in nursing advocacy talks, with my permission. And MedTech Innovations? The IPO was delayed 6 months. Originally planned for May 2025, it finally happened in November. The reasons: FDA approval delays on a new titanium plate design. Investor concerns about governance after my speech. Market volatility in the medical device sector that fall. The valuation dropped from a projected $89 million to an actual $71 million, $18 million less. The stock ticker is MDTI. It opened at $16 per share. The target had been 21. The first 3 months were volatile. Investor reports cited governance concerns, CEO reputational risk, family values misalignment. By March 2026, the stock is trading at $15.20. My father is still CEO, still an orthopedic surgeon. But his reputation in the Boston healthcare community is damaged. My mother is still VP of operations. Her friends know. It's awkward. Vanessa is working at McKinsey in New York. She's kept her distance from the family drama. She hasn't contacted me since that text exchange in May. October 18th, 2025. 5 months after graduation, I got an email from my mother. Subject: I'm sorry. The body was 4 pages long. I've watched your speech 53 times. The first time, I was angry. The 10th time, I cried for 3 hours. The 53rd time, I finally understood. You were right. I forgot who I was. I was an ICU nurse because I wanted to save lives. I wanted to matter. Then I married your father, and somewhere along the way, his career became my identity. I stopped being Judith the nurse. I became Mrs. Workington, VP of operations, the surgeon's wife. When he said, "No one celebrates people who empty bedpans," I should have defended you. I should have stood up. Instead, I said nothing, because I agreed with him, and I hate myself for that. You're the nurse I should have stayed. Can we have coffee? October 25th, 2025. I met my mother at a Starbucks in Cambridge. 2 in the afternoon. We sat down. Awkward silence for the first 30 seconds. She said, "Thank you for coming." I said, "I almost didn't." We talked for 95 minutes. She cried twice. She admitted feeling trapped in the corporate world. She missed nursing but was too proud to admit it. I asked her, "Why didn't you defend me when he said the bedpan comment?" She looked at me, honest, raw. "Because I agreed with him, and I hate that I did." Silence. Then I said, "I can't forgive you yet, but I'm willing to try." She said, "That's more than I deserve." We agreed to monthly coffee. Slow rebuild, no pressure. We've met 5 times now as of March 2026. It's getting easier. Slowly. In January, at our 4th coffee, she asked, "Would you ever talk to your father?" I said, "When he apologizes. Not to me. To every nurse he's ever looked down on. Publicly." February 2026. The stock had dropped to $14.50. There was a board meeting on February 10th. Investors expressed ongoing concerns about CEO reputation. One investor said directly to my father, "Doug, the speech has 2.3 million views. It's not going away. You need to address this publicly." My father had started therapy in November 2025. His therapist and his business coach both advised him, "Public accountability is the only path forward." On February 12th, 2026 at 10:15 in the morning, my father posted on LinkedIn. His first personal post ever. Usually he only posted company updates. He wrote, "I owe my daughter Frida an apology. I owe every nurse an apology. 10 months ago, at my daughter Vanessa's MBA party, I said, 'No one celebrates people who empty bedpans.' 86 people heard me. My daughter Frida, a Johnson & Johnson award-winning nurse, heard me. She gave a graduation speech that has now been viewed 2.3 million times. I didn't listen then. I'm listening now. Nurses are not bedpan work. They are the foundation of healthcare. They are the safety net. They are the reason patients survive. I was wrong. I'm sorry it took public consequences and a damaged IPO to learn what I should have known all along. To every nurse reading this, thank you. To my daughter Frida, I see you now. I'm sorry." The post got 18,200 likes, 1,340 comments, 3,100 shares. The comments were mixed, supportive, skeptical. Too little too late. Nurses sharing their own stories. That afternoon, my mother texted me. We text now. "Did you see his post?" I said, "Yes." She said, "What do you think?" I said, "It's a start. Would you forgive them if they publicly acknowledged you like this? Yes, no, or maybe. Comment below." I haven't contacted my father. He hasn't contacted me. We're respecting space. My mother reports that he's in therapy, individual sessions, processing control issues, validation needs. I make no promises. I set no timeline. My boundaries are firm. Healing is slow. March 28th, 2026. Night shift. 3:15 in the morning. I'm at the nurses' station in the ICU charting. An hour ago, I ran a code on Mrs. Angela Reeves, 62 years old. Septic shock. 18 minutes of CPR. We got her pulse back. She's stable now, sedated, in room 12. At 3:30, her daughter Emily arrives. She drove 2 hours from New Hampshire. I update her. Medical terms, but gentle. She's stable. We got her back. The next 48 hours are critical. Emily is crying. She hugs me. "You saved my mom. Thank you." I say, "That's what we do." Later, at 4:15 a.m., Dr. Thomas Reynolds, the CMO, the man from row 3, is doing his quarterly overnight rounds. He stops at my station. "Workintin. Heard about the code. Excellent work." I say, "Thank you, Dr. Reynolds." He pauses, studies me. "Your father asked me to tell you he's proud of you." I don't react immediately. Then, He can tell me himself when he's ready. Dr. Reynolds smiles, small, knowing. Fair enough. He pauses again. That speech you gave changed how I talk to nurses in this hospital. Changed how a lot of us talk to nurses. Thank you. He walks away. March 30th, 2026. 6:50 in the morning. My shift ends. I walk to the parking lot. The sun is rising over the Boston skyline. I think about where I've been, where I am. Do I forgive them? I'm working on it. Do I trust them? Not yet. But I learned something these past 10 months. You don't need your family's approval to matter. You need your own. I think about my mother, our 5 coffee meetings, the slow honesty we're building. I think about my father, his LinkedIn post, his therapy, the distance between us. I think about Vanessa, the silence, the acceptance that some relationships change. I think about Jade, Doctors Without Borders plans, chosen family, sisterhood that isn't born, it's earned. I think about Dr. Richardson, General Harlan, the letters of recommendation, professional family. I think about the patients, the families, the lives saved, the validation that actually counts. I think about the scholarship, my name reclaimed with purpose. I think about Mass General ICU, my colleagues, the respect I've earned. They wanted me to be someone else. I chose to be myself. And myself is a nurse. My phone buzzes. Text from a number I don't recognize. I open it. Hi, Frida. This is Emily, Mrs. Reeves's daughter from last night. Mom woke up an hour ago. She's extubated. She's talking. The first thing she said was, "Where's my nurse?" The doctors told her your name. She wants to thank you. Can you stop by when you're back on shift? I smile. I type back. I'm on shift tonight. I'll be there. I put my phone away. I get in my car. I drive home. And I think, my name is Frida Workington. I'm 23 years old. I'm an ICU nurse at Massachusetts General Hospital, and every single day I matter. Not because of a degree, not because of an award, not because of a speech that went viral, because of the hands that heal. And those hands are mine.